Welcome back, everyone, to BBB Sharing. I'm Evie, Director of Ignite, sparked by BBB. We are here in the Ignite podcast studio once again, and I have Glenn Ford here with me today.
Yes. How you doing?
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Well, you own a driving school. What is the name of your driving school?
The name is called Excelsior Driving School.
Wow. So I didn't really technically go to driving school. I was in high school and I took driving ed at school, and my PE teacher taught me how to drive. And now I've interviewed a couple driving school people, and they tell me some stories. And I think to myself, what really is it like? How did my PE teacher feel sitting next to a 16-year-old driving?
Well, I can't speak for him, but as far as me, some of my students call me Captain Calm.
Really?
Yes, I don't. The only thing that really phases me with driving with these students that don't know how to drive is being on very, very narrow roads with deep ditches. That's it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm good. I got a brake on my side.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you guys do have brakes on your side.
Yes, I do.
I think your personality, being very calm, is the perfect type of person to be in a seat next to a teenager learning how to drive.
Imagine this: when your parents started teaching you how to drive, and they're in that passenger seat, stop,
Yeah.
and don't do that, and stuff like that, and they're more nagging and irritating because they're scared. They don't want you to cause an accident.
Yeah.
Okay, that right there plays a part in how you learn it. If they're scared, you're going to be scared. Okay, so as far as me, when I first started, I've always had that common demeanor. Even like when I was before I became an instructor and I was teaching my own daughters how to drive, I've always had that common demeanor and stuff. Okay, you're going to do this and you're going to do that, and they're making a mistake. No, it's okay. We're going to do this. Just make sure if you're not sure what you're doing, stop the car.
Yeah.
Don't hit that gas. Hit that brake. But they're going to feel what you feel. So you got to be calm.
Yeah, I understand that because I remember when my dad was teaching me how to drive, he was so not patient. And I thought to myself, I looked at my mom and I was like, I don't want to drive. I don't want to do it.
A lot.
I hated driving.
I get that all the time. The students come after they've had their encounter with their parents, and they thinking that they're going to get the same with me. That's why before we get started, we have a conversation. I'm going to give them my expectation of them, and I'm going to tell them what they can expect of me. At no point in time are you going to hear me fuss, cuss, yell, belittle, talk bad, or anything.
Good, because I wish at that point I would have had somebody next to me that wasn't freaking out, because on the inside I was freaking out. And so it would have been nice to have someone like you who was calm, like, listen, your brake's right there. Just know, step on it. When in doubt.
That's exactly what I tell them. I tell them that, and what I encourage my students to do, and this is going to be weird for some people to hear, but I encourage my students to make the mistakes. Go ahead and make your mistakes. It's the best way of learning what not to do.
Yeah.
Because and I tell them, when you do make these mistakes, know that I'm going to be there to catch you. I'm going to be more aware of what you're about to do before you do it, okay? And which means if you take off too fast, I'm going to be there to slow you down. If you take a turn too sharply, I'm going to be there to straighten you out. But by you making these mistakes, you're seeing, okay, I did that wrong. Okay, let me make this correction. And it's easier for them to put that together just by doing it. When you're scared to make these mistakes, you don't realize that you don't realize how you're doing wrong. Okay, so you got to make these mistakes. You can't be afraid to make these mistakes.
I have to agree with that 100% because I think it's kind of like when you're jumping into a new position at work. It's better for you to make those mistakes front and center and know how to fix them and learn from that lesson going forward than to not have done it and you're 2 or 3 years in and you're like, what did I do?
And when you first starting out at that job, you have a trainer that's right there. So when you do make those mistakes, that trainer's right there was like, oh, nah, this is what you're supposed to do.
Yep. I love it. So you teach both high school students and you do adults
Yes.
too?
Mm-hmm.
What's that like?
Just as many adults as I do teens. And to be honest, adults are harder.
Yeah.
They're hard when teens come to me. For the majority of the teens, when they come to me, they've already done 45 hours of driving with their parents. Okay, which means when they come to me, basically what I'm doing is unteaching the bad habits their parents been teaching them. When adults come to me, they have not gotten their license for a particular reason. Whether it's they're afraid, they have some type of anxiety, some type of trauma happened in their life where they didn't want to learn how to drive. I do have people that may have came from upper states like New York or something where they never needed a driver's license or anything. But when adults come to me, they're coming to me brand new.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of times when I'm dealing with them, the first thing that I'm dealing with is dealing with their anxieties. Okay, that's why I have that conversation with them in the beginning to calm them down, to let them know, okay, you're going to be fine. Okay, don't be afraid to do something wrong. Okay, because we're not going to get into an accident. So I become a counselor before I become an instructor.
I love that because I can only imagine with an adult all the apprehension that comes with having to sit behind the driving wheel and at being so much older, having to learn that skill set so much later in life. It's like when my mom never learned how to swim. And she just started learning a couple years ago. Mind you, my mom's like 54 years old. So for her, it was like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this to myself?
Exactly. But do she know how to swim now?
Yep. Now she knows how to
And
swim.
how she feel?
She's so happy that she did it.
Exactly. My oldest student is actually 65.
Really?
Yes. And let me see. I think 2 months ago, my second oldest, I think she is 62.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. Young lady from Jamaica, 62 years old.
Wow.
And she just never got her license here.
Well, good for her. What are some services that you provide besides teaching people how to drive?
I do private lessons. So some people may have gotten their license some way or somehow, and
I'm thinking the same thing sometimes.
yeah, and they've realized, hey, I shouldn't have gotten this without actually learning how to drive. Or you have people that get their license and don't drive, and they get their license, but they don't drive. Then a few years later, they want to start driving again, so they want like lessons to remember how to drive. I do senior evaluations, so you might have older loved one who wants to continue to drive, and you're not sure if they're still able to. Okay, so I would come in and assess their abilities to handle a motor vehicle.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and I give them and after it's all done, we sit around with the family and we talk about it. Okay, sometimes the people aren't able to continue to drive in my assessments. Sometimes it may be okay if they want to go to the store and back, but no further, something like that.
That's got to be hard conversations to have sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's better for them to get that evaluation from me than from their loved ones. They're not with their loved ones. They're going to be fussing and cussing and stuff.
Yep.
When they get it from me, they're getting it from a professional opinion. Okay. I also do defensive driving courses online. So when people get like tickets, DUIs and stuff like that, and it's court ordered, I can provide that for them.
Awesome.
When people fail their learner's permit test 3 times, they have to do an 8-hour course. So I provide that also.
Wow. See, I'm not going to lie. First 2 times I took it, failed it. Third time I went in sweating and I was like, can't fail this one. I gotta pass this one. Otherwise I gotta go all the way through the process again. I don't want to do that.
Exactly. My daughter, my youngest, she's actually going through the process of getting her license now. She'd be eligible on the 17th, as a matter of fact. And she took it twice. She took the learner's permit twice and failed it twice, and the third time she aced it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm.
It's almost like you got to make the mistakes, like you said before,
Mm-hmm.
first 2 times, and the third time you're like, I got this.
Mm-hmm. And I'm a big believer of God will get you what you need when you need it.
Yep.
Yeah. So she just wasn't ready at the time, but the third time she was ready.
I have to agree. When I was learning how to get my driver's license, I actually waited. I was taking the classes at 16, and then I waited to get my license until I was like 18,
Mm-hmm.
because the time I was taking the classes, a classmate of mine from elementary school I had learned died in a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I got really scared
Mm-hmm.
because my dad was telling me all the time growing up, he's like, it's not you I'm worried about because I know you're careful. He said, it's other people I'm worried about.
Yes.
And in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I can control what I do in my car, but I can't control what happens outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for any 16-year-olds that have that same fear? What advice do you have for them to help them maybe overcome it?
I actually have. You said that one of your friends passed away in an accident. One of the major reasons why I teach the way I teach, the way I am so passionate, as far as teaching my students the right way to drive is, I also lost a cousin in an accident. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Yes. He was on his way home, going back to school, and he actually he fell asleep behind the wheel. He was not. He didn't have on a seatbelt, and he was ejected from the car. And we lost him. Just about every one of my students hear his story. They hear his story because I believe that and it actually happened, if they can take his story away and think about it, and when they're in that situation, and I tell them, if you're sleepy, the only cure for getting some sleep is to is to go to bed and go to sleep. It's not water, it's not Red Bull, it's not coffee, it's not the wind blowing in your face, it's not loud music, it's not your friends. You got to get some sleep. So if you're sleepy, pull over, call your parents, and tell them where you are, and you can even call the non-emergency number to 911 and let them know where you are, so they can have a police presence in your area. Watch out for you, but pull over and get some rest. And I even had one of my students call me and said, Mr. Glenn, I remember what you told me about your cousin, and I was driving home tired, and I pulled over and I called my parents, and she said that her dad stayed on FaceTime with her and just put his on mute while she took a nap. And after 30 minutes, she woke up feeling a lot more refreshed, and she was able to continue. Wow. And she said, I think that saved my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back to your question, though, as far as people dealing with trauma, you got to remember that you've gotten through it, okay? You've gotten through that trauma, and you got to find a way to heal. I mean, you're on the other side, but you got to teach yourself that you got to continue to live, and you got to heal from it. So, which means you got to find some way to continue to move forward. Getting driving lessons and learning how to control the vehicle and conquering your fears is a big way to do that. Okay, it's part of the healing process, and I do have a lot of students that is going through it. One of my students, she was in the car with her mom and ended up hitting 2 cars. Yeah, and totaling a mailbox and stuff.
Oh, no.
And for a while she was scared to drive too.
Yeah.
She was scared to drive too. This young lady's 18. And after, her lessons with me and everything, she got her confidence back. She's excited to being able to drive to school and back and stuff like that as she go to college and everything. So but you got to go through that healing process of actually doing.
You do have to face your fears.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, when I turned 18, my dad was like, okay, you got to do this because it's a survival skill. It's a skill that you need to function in your day to day. You can't not drive. You can't rely on me and your mom to take you everywhere all the time. And you're an adult now. And we live in Harrisonburg, Virginia. So transportation's not that great there.
Harrisonburg, yes.
Yeah. So learning to drive was really, really important for me and my parents. And so I finally overcame that fear. It was at 16 when it just became so real to me. It's that initial excitement. And then when something like that happens, it just becomes real. And you're like, I'm dealing with a piece of machinery that is way, way heavier than me and something that I have to be responsible and control. Yeah. So very good advice. I'm so sorry that happened to your cousin, but I think it's a great way to sit down and really bring that reality forward to 16-year-olds that are so excited about something so serious.
Yes, and that's the thing. They have to take it serious.
Yeah.
Parents need to do their job in making sure that they realize just what they're about to get into, okay? I see it every day as I'm picking people, young kids up from schools and stuff, and you have the other kids around driving their cars and they're zooming around and stuff like that. They don't realize what they're doing. They don't realize the danger that they're putting themselves in and other people.
Yeah.
And I had that conversation with them while they're in my car. Before I give them their license, when they passed everything, and before I give them their license, I give them my talk. Okay, it's what I give all my students. I give them my talk and let them know the responsibility that's they're about to get, and the realization of it's not just them that they have to worry about. It's just not the people in the car. They have to be responsible for everybody surrounding them.
That's what my dad always said. He's like, you need to look in your rear view mirror. You need to look in your side mirrors constantly. It's not just when you're backing up, not just when you're, need to see if you can switch lanes. You need to constantly be aware of your surroundings and what's going on.
Lesson number 2. So I divide my lessons into different sections. Lesson number 2 is all about you being aware of what's going on around you, okay? You want to train your eyes to be in constant motion, never staring at one fixed point. Check your mirrors every 8 to 10 seconds. Check your speedometer every 8 to 10 seconds. And have your eyes in constant motion, never staring. The default is to always check your position in your lane. But you want to be able to look at landmarks. Look at each sign and see if it correlates to what you need to do. Look at the sky. See how beautiful the sky is. Get your eyes moving around, okay? Never staring at one fixed point.
That's some good advice. So how can people reach you?
So they can reach me by calling me personally at 804-365-2508. They can reach me by email at excelsiordrivingrva@gmail.com. They can reach me through my website at excelsiordrivingschoolrva.com.
Awesome. And Excelsior, you spell it E-X-E-L.
E-X-C-E-L.
That's right.
S-I-O-R.
Perfect.
So
awesome.
Excelsior means a higher form of, okay?
Awesome.
Do you know who Stan Lee is?
Stanley.
The Godfather of comic books?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Excelsior, what's his favorite word?
Really?
I'm a big Stan Lee fan, big Spider-Man fan and stuff like that.
Oh.
So, like in his early cartoons, he'll start off by saying Excelsior, friends, and
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
That's really
like
cool.
That.
Okay, that's a cool name. So everyone that is watching on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe at BBB Central VA. Make sure to comment down below, like the video, and share it out. And if you are listening on Spotify, please give us a follow at BBB Sharing and share the audio out. Thank you.
Thank you.